Welcome to Feedback, brought to you by Intel, sponsors of tomorrow. Hello and welcome to Feedback for the week of November 24th, Thanksgiving week. Yay. Maybe at some point we'll go around saying, what are you thankful for? Thanks. Of course, joining us today, Stephen Johnson.
Hi.
One of those guys who puts all those interesting things up on the feed.
That's right.
Nicole Zvrel. Nicole, say that last name of yours.
Zavolich.
Zavolich. See, it's it all gets. And I'm Central European, so I should be able to take consonants, and you don't even have those. You actually had the vowels. So anyway, I love your last name.
I'm glad.
To your credit. And Abby, how are you doing, Abby?
I'm good.
You're going far away for
I'm
the Thanksgiving.
going to Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. tomorrow.
You guys?
Staying in town.
Well,
Going to Chatsworth.
Chatsworth.
Thank you for preparing me for the weather from being in D.C. already
Yes,
this year.
exactly. It's very, very cold. I was just up in San Francisco, and we'll be returning to the Bay Area for Thanksgiving. It was cold and wet, just like it was when I lived there. Somehow, all the necessary apparel to be able to survive in those conditions seems to have just sort of fled out of my closet. It was a challenging weekend.
Yeah.
But it was crab season, and man, do I love the Dungeness. So I'm just going to go crab. Yay, you crustacean thing, you. Let's get to some news. There was an interesting piece up on the New York Times today about what people are doing with Kinect, and Microsoft's kind of vacillating attitude towards it.
Well, have you seen the video? Because it's actually pretty amazing.
It's really cool.
And they have, at first they were saying, we're going to work with law enforcement. We're going to stop tampering with the Kinect. And then everybody, well, not everybody, but that, some computer programmers and other people started doing these like amazing stuff with it. Yeah. And now it's a good idea.
Because
Go ahead and mod
it
your
looks
Kinect.
like there was an organization that wanted to do a contest saying like, hey, if you can do some cool stuff with Kinect, maybe using it with the PC, we're going to have a prize to try to stimulate some interesting stuff. And I was like, well, hold on. That's our technology. But I think I see where Microsoft's initial don't mess with Kinect came from, because we don't like when people mod their consoles.
And then you can't return it if you somehow break it. And
I think they realize that there's a lot of interesting innovation that can be done with this rather impressive piece of technology that, as these people, they themselves said, like, hey, if I was going to make one from scratch, it would be kind of pricey.
Hacking blows when do it, but when people who are cool and do cool stuff with it, it's awesome.
Right.
Well, plus, the hacking that they're doing now doesn't really affect the experience for anybody else, whereas modding consoles does.
Because it's once it goes online that the problems start to happen. I think that's what they're going to be sort of keeping an eye on.
What, are you going to with my KINECTIMALs?
I think the only thing is that as these people do these cool things with it, how does that make Microsoft look? Like,
cool.
It's
cool by association.
Cool by association because
so,
they
too.
couldn't do that with their own product.
Well, they don't want to do that with their products.
Or they haven't done it yet. Like, some of the stuff seems like it's a no-brainer that they'll actually do it. Now, I've modded my Kinect so it will kill.
Kill?
Yes.
You?
Anyone.
Anyone?
Intruders.
Just anyone who plays.
It uses the facial recognition software, and if it doesn't
you do have
recognize
small
your face...
children in the house, right?
Well...
Not anymore.
I used to.
I have this. You remember the facial recognition software? Remember when they were trying to do that at football stadiums? Like after 9/11, it's like that way we'll find Osama bin Laden because he can go to a Patriots game. And they were so I guess we can do that in our home. That it can say like, hey, we don't like you, and maybe like the panic room door comes down, and you can keep people out.
I would love that. I think it's really interesting how Kinect is at once the most casual of all things, and then also appeals to the hardest of the hardcore, which are like hackers and computer programmers that are doing interesting things. It's really cool and really smart of Microsoft to embrace it, because that kind of takes away some of the negative of being just for kids.
Just for kids. And you like it. I think the other part that's neat is they are trying to do this a lot with the PC, because obviously there's it's easier to do stuff with the PC than try to somehow program your 360. I've always wondered, do you guys think that Microsoft does have ambitions about taking this technology and moving it into sort of non-console based, stuff that that operates with Windows? I mean, it is a robust piece of hardware.
Well, they will now. I mean, now that other people are capable of doing it, they're going to want to do it and cash in on it before someone else does.
I would like to think so. I mean, we don't know where this Israeli technology is. Well, I guess the Israelis have it.
Chat roulette with tracking.
I just don't want it to be.
There's probably something there.
I don't want billboards to recognize me when I'm walking by on the street. Like if this were used for advertising purposes in the public sphere, it would be distressing. To
What
say
I
the
mean,
least.
that's
Hello, Steven Johnson.
That's a
Let me
pretty-
sell you this. today.
exactly.
That's
I
pretty
think you'll like it.
central
Done in
aspect.
movies, yeah.
I know.
That's a pretty central aspect of like sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
Is like
Yeah.
those ads that are interactive with you. I know they have the ones like in Metro in San Francisco where like kids stomp on things because
Yes.
that's exactly what you want with your logo.
Which is
kids
exactly
trying
what
to
I do
stomp on it.
when I walk by them too. I'm no better than the children.
All right, well, to those people out there, they're doing amazing things to Kinect. Keep doing it. Let us know what you're doing because we're very, very interested in seeing things that make us feel intellectually inferior.
Yes.
At least I am.
Yeah, oh, totally.
Because know your place. That's what I tell myself every morning that I wake up. Okay, our second story. A game that I think all of us kind of forgot came out was forgotten by most people.
Yeah, Tony Hawk Shred.
Yeah, Tony
Yeah.
Hawk Shred. This is the follow-up to Tony Hawk Re-Day.
Yeah. Day, yes. Thank you for making that classy.
That was the one where you actually have your own skateboard and you stand on it to play the game.
We did some terrible things to that last year.
Yeah, we gave it a 1 out of 5.
Yeah.
And now they have a follow-up
We
called
took that
Shred.
thing out on an actual skate ramp.
Shred, a very kinetic term for what is actually
Yeah.
played in a very static manner.
And even though it's not, Tony Hawk's Ride 2, I think that
because
that
Ride
game,
was what hurt the game last year.
Yeah,
think
I
we all
think that
can
game
agree.
was
It was
so
the title.
universally panned that this one might be a tough sell. And according to analysts, in the first week, it sold 3,000 copies.
Now, we are several weeks into
Right.
its sales,
It
but this
came
is
out
only
October
what we know for the
26th.
first
This
week.
is now almost a month later.
And as with movies and many things out there, what happens in that first week is a pretty good bellwether for
Yes.
what's going to be happening in the successive
But
weeks.
the good part of not good. The funny part about this is not to worry. Activision Publishing CEO Eric Hirschberg says it was recommended as a holiday buy on Ellen, which will clearly fix all the problems. And I love Ellen, and I think she's awesome.
Yes.
However, she's no Oprah.
But she will fix problems. Like, there are a lot of moms out there who do not know what to get their kids, and they're going to see, oh, this is Ellen approved. Little Timmy's getting
Yeah.
this now.
Yes, but
I
I
wanna know
don't watch
when-
videos of people screaming on Ellen's show.
But when they said, Ellen, of these 3 things, which are you going to approve? What were the other 2?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good
Was
question.
it like Bayonetta? I mean, yeah, let's all just kind of assume what really happened there without saying it because it probably wouldn't.
Well, to be fair, it's a kids game, so the marketing is a little different, which could be why we haven't heard about it. Like, they're gearing it toward a different audience.
Oh, yes, they are.
So why people aren't as aware of it as they were the last game? Because I was very aware of Tony Hawk Ride.
I
Yeah,
watch
they
a
didn't
lot of
really
kids
take this
shows.
around to us.
No.
But I do watch a lot of cartoons and Cartoon Network, and I don't see any of these advertisings.
No,
It isn't out there.
I think the question that many people ask is, I guess there was a capital investment in making this tech in the first place, so why not have a second game? But yeah, the success of Ride didn't really say like, oh, within a year we're going to do it again. Yes.
They had a lot of
Yeah.
plastic skateboards sitting
Like, I
around.
can't remember if that fire is hot. Let me stick my hand back in. Oh, yes. Oh, it's really hot. I have a 3rd-degree burn. Blisters and welts.
They must have had warehouses full of plastic skateboards and had to find some way to sell them. And
Yeah, it's true.
you know what I mean.
We should
Put
have
out
a
another
contest for
game.
who can come up with the most creative way to recycle all of those skateboards.
We should have hackers, like what they're doing with Kinect, do something amazing with...
Hoverboard.
Yeah.
Hoverboard.
Yeah,
Hoverboard.
I'm actually reached the point where I think the hoverboard is a terrible idea for me because I just,
It's not a great idea for anyone, really, when you think about it.
I love my joints, and the hoverboard just seems to be running against them. So Black Ops, it's been out
Yes.
for a couple of weeks. They're already, aware of things, and they're doing some fixes. But let's not go through every update.
No. But
Abby,
there's some very important
as
ones.
one who plays so much of this game, what are the ones you think stand out as important?
Matchmaking is probably the biggest thing. I had matchmaking problems with Modern Warfare 2 as well, but nowhere on the level that I had it with this. Especially if you're using a big party, it was almost impossible to get into games. Sometimes, pretty much only Team Deathmatch would work or Ground War, and you couldn't get into the other game types. I have had very few problems since the update went through, getting into matches with my party, getting into things that are not just Team Deathmatch. They also changed, you can hear footsteps better, which has been really helpful, especially if you're using the Ninja perks, or perk, which I use a lot. So they've tuned the audio a little bit, which is great. I mean, a lot of people are complaining that right off the bat. I usually wait till there's a patch because these are generally all fixable things, and they've done a great job of fixing it all. There's some changes to the leaderboards. I was amazingly the top of everyone's leaderboard, having 50,000 kills or something when I checked them, and I'm like, I don't have that kind of what? So they've fixed a lot of stuff like that, and a lot of stuff that's just really rare, bugs and glitches that happen that won't affect most people. But they fixed what I wanted to be fixed.
So do you consider them to be as attentive, more attentive, less attentive than Modern Warfare 2?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. There were patches. Well, already more attentive because this patch, I think, hit earlier than the first patch for Modern Warfare 2. Forgive me, it was a while ago. But, I mean, granted, this fixed an awful lot. If anything else comes up, it'll be seen if they follow through with that. But I have not been hitting, like, a lot of people cheating or finding ways to cheat in the game, which has been fantastic. And with these things fixed, I mean, those were basically my bullet points of, like, I really wish this would happen. So that's great. Yay. And then they did something else in the game, which was they've been really good about banning swastika logos.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have come across so many swastika logos. It is almost like you're playing World at War again and you're fighting Nazis.
Let me go ahead just because I had to ask this question. I don't play that much multiplayer in Black Ops. How are people making swastika logos?
Well, you can create an emblem, and there's a bunch of different layers, and
like
you're
12.
basically so you're basically layering. I have like a shark with hearts in its mouth. It's awesome, and you can basically just make your own. I've seen them made out of magic wands, out of legs. So it's basically just using the tools that they provide you to create anything and making a swastika out of it. I've also seen a lot of penises.
But those are okay.
Yeah, no, I
You're
really
allowed
don't
to have-
care.
you're
If you
allowed
want to
to have
represent
those.
yourself with a penis,
Given
go for
what
it.
you just
No,
said,
you're allowed
how
to.
are these? How do you know it's a penis? I mean, is it really
It looks like
clear?
one.
It really looks like a penis?
Well,
You
I mean,
can
plus
recognize
you can.
them.
Yeah, I mean, you can see everybody in the lobby can see it, and then you
can
can also
Google
click
it.
on someone's tag, and you can see a larger version of it.
Well, if there's one thing we've learned about what goes into user-created content in games, it's dongs and swastikas. So I'm going to invent the swastadong.
Well, I was gonna say I see so much penis on in people's emblems, and so many swastikas that I'm amazed that somebody hasn't created a swastika out of penises.
Well, okay, if you were to
Now's your
just
chance.
from you going on and playing, and you guys, if you're going on and playing too, if you were to try to stereotype who the person is that's doing this, be it age or disposition, look, it's obnoxious.
I'm
I mean,
never really
I'm not a big fan of the
listening to
penis,
them.
but we all know what the swastika really represents, and don't give me that Hindu excuse.
No,
Not you guys, you.
no.
So.
And I don't have an indication of really who those people are. I mean, your bio is the only information that somebody really has about you. And then I've noticed a lot of them will have the clan tag like Heil or something like that, which is, I mean, I'm sorry, it's just.
I mean,
it's
are kids being taught about World War II and the Holocaust?
yeah, but you don't
stupid,
assume
though.
it's children.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. It's just like, I mean, every parent who notices their kid doing it needs to probably sit down and have a long think with themselves.
I think it's mostly just kids that are trying to get a rise out of people and get a reaction. I mean, it's stupid and it's
Yeah, I
childish, and when you get older, you'll
Let me
feel
put it
stupid
this
about
way:
it. But
they're getting the
it's-
rise out of me.
Yeah, no, it's working. That's the thing. It's like it gets me too.
Let me just
but-
put it
Again,
really bluntly for people that didn't see a soapbox from a few years ago. I don't go to family reunions because I don't got enough family to have one. All right, everyone. So to you kids out there using the swastikas, you. All right,
Yeah,
back to our show.
Honestly, I'm glad they're banning it. I've been watching the sort of drama unfold with Steptoe on Twitter, and he works in the department that basically is taking care of that.
Right.
And he had said, if you think the swastika symbol should be reevaluated by societies all over the earth, I think that's great. Your Xbox Live profile or in-game logo, which doesn't have the context to explain your goal, is not the right place to do that. And by the way, that doesn't just go for the swastika. It applies to many other symbols as well. That my team does indeed take action on when we see it. I'm with them. Go for it.
I'm
Ban
with
them
them
all.
100%. I've had some occasional differences with Stephen Toulouse, but I have to say I support them 100%. And I think it is worth noting that Microsoft does seem to be aware of these things and tries to find the most effective ways to deal with it without, making such a blanket,
They've made it really easy to report people in the lobbies again in this one, which it didn't. I mean, it's never been hard, but they made it even easier, and you can say it's their, swastika clan tag, basic or emblem, and. The only thing that really, well, not the only thing, the other thing that really pisses me off about it, too, is that I have never actually encountered someone with a swastika logo that was not, like, the best person in the match. And that makes me even worse.
That's
It makes me feel
awful.
even angrier that they're really good at this game. But I assume that's because they have no friends because they're a bunch of racist pricks, and so they just sit at home and play this all day.
I would have to assume so. Okay, now everyone starts to cry freedom of speech. Stephen, you wrote the post on the feed, so
Yes.
could you explain to some of the numbnuts out there how that doesn't work?
Okay, here you go, numbnuts. First off, it's not your forum. It's Microsoft's forum, so you don't have freedom of speech because they can kick you off it. And secondly, even if you did have freedom of speech, which you do if you live in the United States, you can say whatever you want and have swastikas all over your stuff but everybody is going to think you're an ignorant douchebag.
Yes, I mean,
So you can't get mad.
Remember the last skinhead rally that they tried to have here in downtown LA, and like every time it's like 3 times more people who are against it show up, and like a couple of these dudes got their heads beaten in, and you know, I'm usually not a proponent of violence, but I'm just saying. I'm probably going to get some more. Well,
anyway, I mean, if you see it online, report it because you're really making things nicer for all of us.
And the thing is that you can't expect just Microsoft can somehow from on high be able to manage all of
and
this.
Find everyone. So
it is somewhat synergistic with what they need from the good gaming community out there.
I report all you.
Also, anybody out there who is making some kind of intellectual argument about the symbolism of the swastika having meant something different before World War II, we've
all heard it before, and you.
Yeah, and you're worse than the 12-year-olds who are trying to get a rise because you have half a brain. You should know.
Just because you woke up during that one part of your history class and you retained that knowledge and decided to share it at cocktail parties is some sign of wisdom.
Read a book.
Yeah, read a book.
Well, just to say, I mean, I am in no way for the swastikas, but I do want to say that I think that there should be some rules on what is allowed and what's not. Because I think it's a slippery slope of
there
what
are.
can... But like it's
they're
it's
in
kind of
Microsoft's policy.
There's going to be, you know, you can make swastikas out of guns, and you can make swastikas out of the dinosaur logo.
But if the image is replicating that of a swastika, then it's pretty much.
There's no cut and dry that might be a swastika, it might not.
But when a penis is going to be offensive, and I would like, you know.
I think the penis shouldn't be there either.
Yeah, penises are kind of gross, but they're not offensive to.
But then they are offensive to some, and
historical level.
It's just a slippery slope, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's also, but one begets hate, one begets stupid. I mean, I think that's the thing.
One begets a conversation, and the other one should just be flat out not allowed on the servers.
Yeah. All right, enough with the Nazis. So, as you heard at the top of the show, we're sponsored by Intel. Yay! Thank you.
Thanks
for sponsorship. So we're going to talk for a moment about sort of where can games go. This is something that comes up a lot around this season where it's like, when do you think the next console is going to be? To which many times I'm like, I'm not 100% on what I need from my next video game console that isn't in some fashion being accomplished by consoles now. But Nicole, is there anything currently with the tech that leaves you wanting you would like to see, complemented?
I don't know. I mean, I think that like back in like in 80s movies, you would put on this helmet and you would go into this virtual world. And I don't know. I think virtual reality headsets and something that would actually work is where I would like it to go.
No, would you see yourself still holding a controller, but you kind of have like the full...
No, just this big old visor that I can run around. That's how I see it.
Have you seen Videodrome?
No.
Okay. Go watch David Cronenberg's Videodrome,
okay.
And then we'll check back in next time and see what you think about putting a helmet on your head.
Okay.
It's an excellent movie, easily on my top 10 list. That and the Muppet movie.
Technology, what I would like to see coming from gaming, I never play a PS3 or 360 game and think, wow, if the technology were only better, this experience would be better, which is kind of new. It's the first console that I've ever had that. But off the top of my head, I would love to see there never, ever being a load screen in any game ever.
Okay, and what makes that so curious is that Nintendo, with the majority of their games on the lowest powered system, has always accomplished this like non-existent load time. But yeah,
that's true.
But on these heavier horsepower systems, like, you can expect some painful, like, oh gosh, I don't want to die because I don't want the load screen type moment.
Exactly.
No, and and I think that is one of the bigger stumbling blocks. Is when you have long load times, especially if it's a challenging game. I'm thinking of Ninja Gaiden Sigma for the PS3, where it's like I don't want to die because if I have to spend one more minute just looking at
Even Castlevania, Lords of Shadow had these ridiculously long load screens.
No, you're right.
At the very least, they had Jean-Luc Picard telling you what was going on. So
yeah. So
New Vegas is insane with the load screens. If you don't have it installed on the 360, which I don't because I don't have enough hard drive space, the load times are forever. I don't even go places because
it's like, I don't want to go in that because I'm going to get myself a load screen.
Who knows? Another thing that might be, I don't even know if this is a technological or an artistic kind of advancement, but they always, like open world games, they have 2 or 3 endings maybe, but that's not enough real endings. I mean, for you to really be in an open world. So, maybe something like that.
Yeah, something a little bit more progressive and dynamic.
I want every open world to have doors that open. Every door should open.
I agree 100% with you. Yes, a world
Painted
where
on
doors open to something else. If not, it can just be a wall. I'll never think it would have been better if there was a door there. Thank you very much for that virtual home decor notation. I'm with you 100%. Portal 2, a game that I wasn't sure had a proper release date, did have that release date, but I only learned that upon finding out that release date is no longer the release date.
Yeah, originally February 9th, and now they pushed it back 2 months, which they've said is the shortest delay in Valve's history, which is kind of awesomely
That's
funny.
completely true.
The press release surrounding it was hilarious. I hope it's up verbatim on the site or something because it was amazing. But
it's weird. Valve engenders goodwill even when they're talking about
I know.
delaying games. You're still like oh,
they
Valve,
delayed
it's
it,
so
but
awesome.
I mean, it's kind of like I don't know, like a nice scientist.
Yeah.
You know, like you just don't have ill will towards them. I'm trying to think of someone like Carl Sagan. No one doesn't like Carl Sagan.
I hate that
he
Sagan
passed
bastard.
away.
But
see, you just don't
yeah,
hear
but
that.
He murdered my parents.
Long story, guys.
With the
Another
Kinect.
time.
now, anybody have any theories they'd like to proffer on the reason for the delay?
Well, I hope it's to add Kinect or Move support, preferably Kinect.
Could you?
I don't care. Like,
Shocking.
I'll do this.
You don't think you would get like a
Portal
little
gun.
nauseous?
I hope so, because then it works.
Okay.
Yeah, nausea.
And
That's
don't
a
say I
very-
don't care because then you'll get games that have it, and you'll realize that you do care.
Okay, so less on the nausea then. I clarify, but I mean, I would love Kinect support because I'm not really using my Kinect for anything
How would
right
you?
now.
You know, and this is interesting though. In theory, could we do that without having a device in our hands to move yourself around the space?
Can we just move our hands about the space?
But you have to go forward. How do you go forward?
Lean forward?
Lean forward. So it's more like a segue.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think if you were to augment the controller controls with some sort of motion controlling as well, you could do something interesting in the Portal kind of world. But then it also was kind of like...
I'm just going to throw it out there. Can you actually make it Kinect compatible in how many months?
2 months.
2 months? 3
No.
months? Yeah. But at the
Valve
same
can.
time, they seem so hell-bent on this date and the polish excuse. I mean, 2 months, I guess, you know... It's like, hey, you know, wax on,
Wax on,
wax
wax
on,
off.
wax on, wax on.
It could have more to do with sort of marketplace forces and that sort of thing.
I
Like, when is
think
the
there's a
most-
chance there. Yeah, April has been a pretty hot month the past couple of years, so I'm going to
Yeah.
see. You know, because I believe is LA Noire a spring release?
Spring release.
Spring release, and if we're looking
You
at some
imagine
of the
that they would
pattern-
probably try to get it out around the same time they hit Red Dead.
GTA 4, they all seem to be falling in this late April, and it's done very, very, very well for the ROCKSTAR.
Yes.
So, yeah, well, hey, you know, April, it's spring. I can think of bunnies and other things. What else happens in
That
spring?
has nothing to do with Portal.
I think animals mate, like maybe
Yes.
raccoons or something
Well,
like
they
that.
have their babies. I think they
Yeah.
probably mate in the winter months when it's cold.
There's been, like, my parents have been dealing with raccoon problems around their house. I'm very kind of, you know, they're vicious. It's not like Sly Cooper. Don't let Sly inform your attitude towards raccoons.
Right.
There has to
Or
have been a
hippos.
moment where
Yeah.
Adam, thought that raccoons were your friends, and it just went badly.
There's a story there.
I think back when I was a kid, that was one of my imaginary friends was a raccoon. It was in the entire assortment of animals I could think of, and they hung out with me because I needed
They're
a lot
adorable.
of them. Yes, they are.
Make great
Okay, so our final story, not too happy. A very well-regarded developer that's had a couple of misses recently. Looks like their doors are going to close.
Yeah, Bizarre Creations is being closed. Apparently, the employees have been given 90-day notice. I guess they got blood thrown out the door and then just shut the studio down.
Oh, that's right. That was Bizarre
Yeah,
Creations.
I forget that. Blur was the other
Right.
one this
Right,
year. I mean,
right.
obviously racing because they'd done Project Gotham Racing before that, and Geometry Wars, which I love so much.
I like Blur.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
none
surprised
of
it
these
catch on.
Not a bad game.
I do not believe Blur was exactly a big seller.
No,
I
no.
can't say emphatically right now, but my gut's pretty strong on
It
that
was
one.
fun, though.
was.
Now they were acquired in 2007 by Activision for $67.4 million. I mean, that's kind of a big washing of the hands. I mean, is Activision really just going to say, okay, it's done, we're just going to take a loss on that?
I guess so. I mean, they there was a bunch of reports last week. They had shut down some of their QA testing in Los Angeles. That they had closed Budcat as well. They did a lot of ports. Yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, I would hope that somebody else would pick them up and.
Yeah, I mean, I'll see the opportunities there. If not the entire team, then at least maybe the name. For obviously anyone who's at Bizarre Creations, our thoughts are out for you. So
Yeah.
it is the holiday season, and that's tough news to get. One more thing, Deathmatch has been going on. We're getting close to
Deathmatch.
Deathmatch. Friday, Deathmatch. We're
My
now
voice
at
doesn't get that
round
gravelly.
3.
It's really hard.
We had a shocker. Okay, so Assassin's Creed Brotherhood went up against Call of Duty Black Ops. Looked like it might be a show or a tussle, but I think everyone would have put their money on the thing that sold $8,000 billion in 22 minutes or whatever it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was exactly it.
We were wrong. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood beats out Call of Duty Black Ops.
Just
Kinda
barely
tough to
squeaked by.
Pit those together in like the second round.
A few days
Yeah,
ago,
I mean,
it
it's-
was 50-50, exactly on the bubble between those two.
Yeah.
And then in the last,
And
people
Black
voting at
Ops-
the last minute.
But Black Ops came out a week before Brotherhood, right?
Yes, but I think it also just, I think we get to use this as kind of a diagnostic of the people that come to the G4 site. And
Yeah.
looks like Assassin's Creed really has some resonance with these guys.
It was an awesome game.
Yeah, it was an awesome game that, I would say I doubt one person has played all of the games in our deathmatch. It's a popularity contest.
Yeah, but whatever.
Just as all elections are, if anyone ever went to public school. You sure know. It's like, oh, yes, I love his policy on lunch.
I'm going to my 10-year high school reunion next week. I'll
Really?
let you know how
Fun.
that works out with all the kids we elected into those positions in high school who
Yes,
are totally
yes.
not now.
Oh, tell me if you see a Tracy flick.
I'll take pictures.
We have some other matches. One of them very exciting: Mass Effect 2 versus God of War 3. One is multi-platform. Well, no, it's
Right.
not. I take that back
Well,
completely.
in
Well, will
January.
be. In January, it'll be multi-platform. Super Street Fighter 4 versus Red Dead Redemption. Very interesting. Two entirely different games.
Very wide audience appeal and a very, very, very niche
But a
audience
very
appeal on
loyal
that one.
niche.
But a very
Yeah.
loyal
Dedicated
one.
niche.
Interesting.
The kind of people that vote on online polls because they love Street Fighter so much.
StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty versus Halo Reach. So
That's
it's sci-fi
another
v
one.
sci-fi in two entirely different formats, but both are multi-million-dollar sellers.
Yep.
And Fable 3 versus Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Come on, Assassins.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
This guy didn't say anything. Come on, Assassins.
What are you doing? Are you? What's it called if you do something wrong near the polling place? Electioneering.
Electioneering,
I am
You're
not
one of
election.
those.
I might be.
You're one of those strange people. So yes,
I'm
go
not
to
offering them anything in return.
Go to g4tv.com/deathmatch to cast your vote. Once again, vote early, vote often.
I think you can only vote once.
Really?
Yeah, you can only vote once.
Well, I still like saying that because it sounds so
This isn't
cynical.
Dancing with the Stars, Adam. Good
Oh,
Lord.
can we talk about that for a
Yeah,
second?
we can.
Well, I was hoping
Really?
we
Really?
would.
I heard that Bristol Palin was winning our video game deathmatch somehow, and I don't
I
even
know.
know. She's not even a video game
Okay,
yet. Somehow
I don't
Missed the
watch
write-in
Dancing
vote
with the
segment.
Stars. I don't pay attention to Dancing with the Stars. I know it's on because some of the monitors here, obviously showing EE is covering it. I learned about this from listening to NPR.
I'm sorry.
Who actually brought someone on to interview them about Brandy getting cut and Bristol Palin not. And the man they interviewed was he was apoplectic. Wow.
That was a good word.
Wow. I'm just going to say wow. So anyway, strike one for reason by voting at deathmatch at g4tv.com.
Right.
Deathmatch.
Somehow that turned into dancing.
All right. Holiday Buyer's Guide. We are at that point. It's up on XPlay this week. It's up on the website. This is the time of year when people are like, I need to buy things for people.
Give us a
What
list.
do I
Give us a
do?"
list. We need lists.
So we're going to chat about, the consoles, the systems, what to be mindful of. Some of these games we may not think are the best, but they might be ideal for someone in your family who has sort of narrow tastes,
Or 7.
aspirations, or is 7 years old. 7-year-olds should play Bayonetta. No, I never said that. Don't call me.
Supervise. I'm gonna play supervise.
Let's start with the Wii, because we never start with the Wii.
Okay.
All right.
I have been playing Kirby's Epic Yarn.
It's so precious.
That is exactly the word I would use for it. The narration in it alone is, I think I could fall asleep to it because it's so serious but so silly.
I know.
Because it's yarn monsters. Have you got a chance to play it?
I played it a little bit. I haven't really gotten
I mean,
too
it
far
is not.
into it,
This is
but-
not a challenging game, but I think one of the things that makes it stand out is there's probably a lot of people out there that bought a Wii and haven't really visited it lately. And this is a game that is easy to play, very accessible, and the visuals are like, wow,
and it's
it looks
really
like
great
yarn.
co-op. So
Yeah, exactly.
if you have a kid and you want to play with your kid, this is perfect for them.
Or if you have
her.
2 kids and you want them to stop bothering you, they
Even
play
more
together.
perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, and you guys have anything that's really kind of stood out for you on the Wii this year? I know that's a tough question. I recognize that as I'm saying it.
That is a tough
GoldenEye.
question.
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye 007 really dug the multiplayer. I haven't had a chance to play the single player at all, but I played.
That's
the
exactly
multiplayer.
how the first game was.
Yeah, no,
I don't
exactly.
know if I ever got
Yeah.
through the single player.
It's so nostalgic, like to play it 4-player split screen, sitting on a couch with 3 other people. It just like transports you back to the N64 days and the first, at least my first decent multiplayer experience, which was the original GoldenEye.
Oh no, yeah,
So
for
awesome.
and for most people that was the case. It's I guess the only thing I would wonder is, okay, so a lot of people out there, they have a Wii and they have a 360 or a PS3. I mean, it becomes tough. It's like, hey, the multiplayer is great on this Wii game, but it is the 4-player split screen. I mean, would you say is it nostalgia for those people who skew older like you and I?
I think, I can't even remember the last time I played a shooter sitting on a couch next to the people I was playing with, and you forget how fun it is because you're yelling at each other and punching each other in the arm and like looking at each other's screens.
Calling in hits to your Kinect.
Yeah, exactly. And there's that whole thing is lost on you put a headset on and you play with people online. I mean, that's fun too, but it's fun in a totally different way,
No, I agree totally.
That's why I liked GoldenEye.
But it's nostalgia though, and it's in beautiful SD and all, but I'll take it.
In beautiful SD. Bravo. Anything for the Wii that stands out for you, Nicole?
Well, I haven't played it yet, but I want to, and I'm still recommending it to everyone, is Disney Epic Mickey.
Yeah.
It's gonna...
Just so everyone knows, that will be coming out next week.
30th?
The 30th. But the review should be up on our site this week. We are going up with the embargo. I just wanted to let everyone know while you're having your turkey, learn about the Epic Mickey. But I agree with you. This is a game that I have been very, very excited about all year long.
And Oswald the Rabbit, I'm just rooting for him so much.
Oswald the Rabbit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he kind of plays I think he's the problem in this world.
He's going to redeem himself. I'm fingers crossed, and then there'll be a whole merchandise line of him.
And to be fair, this is a Warren Spector game that does have multiple endings, depending upon how you play the game, and it's not just, hey, if you're good, if you're bad. Really, it's thinner or paint. But yeah, it's. I think the part that really stands out for me is that it's such a. You see the visual imagination there, that it's coming from things that are familiar, Disneyland, Disney things, but then it's not like, hey, I'm in the Tomorrowland level. It's like, no, here are these things that are familiar, recombined in a way that's both familiar and completely new and fresh. Right. And it's like, I've always said, I like games, I like those worlds I want to spend time in. And this just has that wonderful sense of all those Disney animations.
Yep.
That, I cannot wait to sit down and play this game and indulge myself in it, because it looks like there's a lot to find in it. Abby, on the Wii, what makes you happy?
Nothing. No, I'm just kidding. I was a little lax in my Wii playing this year. I played Super Mario Galaxy 2. I really enjoyed it. I think the first one resonated a lot more with me than the second one.
Well, the first one felt fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, although I played it all the way through, I had a great time. Obviously Epic Mickey is something that I've been eagerly anticipating. The one that I actually did play quite a bit that I enjoyed was Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Yeah.
Because there is nothing we like more than having fighting games we can sit at the desk and yell at each other while we play.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
It's a blast. So.
Yeah, it is. It's a very well made one. Now, the gentleman behind it, whose name is absolutely slipping my mind, is also working on Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So if you want to get a sense of, I don't know, what might be down the road.
Yeah. But it's not that much longer to wait for that one either.
No. It's a coming. So, all right, there we go with the Wii. So, before we move on to the 360 and the PS3, let's talk a little bit about motion games. The Wii, obviously a motion game console, but we've seen Move and Kinect come out. I think those two are going to be some of the bigger questions, because that's more the, hey, here's your special gift, Johnny. It's that moving around thing you've been wanting to do for so long.
Ellen DeGeneres
it's a more expensive buy-in, so some people might look to others to do it for them. We will probably get besieged with emails, I think, in our personal lives. The less aware in our families who don't know to go to the damn website, give us a phone call instead. Let's go down. I mean, outside of if it's good or bad,
right?
Like, who, in your mind, and you have a child, Stephen.
Yes.
Kinect. I mean, who is it actually geared for? It's a neat piece of tech, but when you look at how it's applied, I think that's where I get concerned. That some people want it and then may not know what they're getting out of it.
Here's the thing: my kid loves Kinect Adventures, and my wife loves Dance Central, and neither of them are really able to use a controller for two different reasons. So for them, it's perfect.
Now, you are more of a gamer,
right?
And how do you feel about it?
I can't believe how terrible I am at dancing. Number one, my wife has destroyed me at Dance Central in a way that
I could have given you a hint about that one.
I would have guessed.
I thought
I'm not that good either.
For a
I'm
long
with
time.
you.
Yeah, But so it is, as everyone already knows, for kids and moms, which is cool, which is all right. But for me, it's not. I mean, it's cool, but I'm waiting for there to be a use for it that I'll totally be all over and about. But so far, I haven't really seen it. Kinect Adventures is kind of fun. Kinectimals is kind of fun. Dance Central is kind of fun. but nothing that's really like, I gotta have this.
Nicole?
I bought the Kinect. I have not hooked it up yet. It's been about 9 days. But I have complete faith that Microsoft's going to deliver in 2011.
So, I mean, I think that's the thing. If you're getting it for the person who really is into games, this is more of an investment on hope.
Yes.
And don't ever ask me what I think of hope, but let's go ahead.
But I do think that I am recommending this to my younger relatives, and you know, like I told my sister that she should get Dance Central. She's definitely the most casual of gamers. Hardcore gamers, maybe you should wait off, you know, on getting it. But for casual gamers who are getting this as gifts, Dance Central's fun. Everyone likes it. Except me, because again, I can't dance either.
Yeah, I can't. Well, it's also that music makes me feel embarrassed.
I just feel uncomfortable when I hear Lady
Because it's just
Gaga.
like, by dancing, I'm showing enthusiasm for the music, but I don't want to.
Right.
It's just very confusing. Abby is well aware of my neuroses. I think the other thing with Kinect, and I get this a lot, is do I have enough room for it?
Yeah, I barely did.
Yeah, I mean, at what point do you guys feel that, okay, yeah, your room cannot handle Kinect? You know,
As Tim Gunn would say, you make it work. You can make it work.
You can make it work?
Yeah.
I decided when I laid down in my man cave, and I'm not 6 feet. I'm nowhere near 6 feet.
Yeah.
And when I realized that my body was, I didn't have
You would
the
have
distance.
to shift everything to that
Yeah,
one
I really like it the way it is.
I worried, again, I think we said this before, like about my friends who have New York apartments who might be playing from their bathroom because I don't. I mean, I squeeze and everything in my living room's like Tetris, and I have to like watch out that I don't hit the bookshelf, but like I've made it work.
I think the trick here is if you're getting it for someone, do a little research into what it's going to mean for them. It's
That's
kind of
true.
like when you buy someone, say, an iPhone, but then they also have to carry the burden of the damn AT&T contract.
Right.
It's like, be a little bit mindful of
Be
that.
careful and make sure that there's enough space. I mean, and I would give it, especially if multiple people are playing, like, hopefully they have about 10 feet that they can clear out. Because if you're playing with 2 people, you're not only going to want the distance from the TV, but you're going to want the side to
You
side.
want the width.
Yeah.
You want the width
To
there.
prevent yourself from elbowing your son in the face.
So many
Injuries
times
happen.
somebody in my house is going to get punched in the face. And that's not just when I'm drunk.
That's
what
when
I'm
you're
talking about.
Kinect.
I mean, like playing Kinect, not.
We went there.
The one thing that because I totally agree with you guys on it's not going to be the thing that I play every time I turn on the Xbox. I have been enjoying Dance Central. But when people have been coming over, showing them Kinect and playing with a bunch of people with Kinect Adventures has actually been really fun.
Yeah.
As I think I said last week, it's like or 2 weeks ago when we did the thing. I remember when the Wii came out, my friends would come over. We'd play the sports. We'd all have a good time, even though it wasn't the most impressive thing in the world. It felt like it for a second.
Right.
And I've been enjoying that sharing again.
But how long did that last for you with the Wii? I mean, for me, it was
Few months.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even that long.
And hopefully by that time there'll be a title that I want to, play.
Okay, let's talk about PlayStation Move. Yes, we've said some bad things about it. We're not very terribly, horribly impressed with it. But let's just assume somebody has a PS3.
Okay, I
And
have
they
one.
don't have a 360.
I have
Okay.
one.
No, we all
What do you
that's
think?
us.
I mean, it's one of those where like I'm of two minds. I mean, if I think if they have other members of the family that like to get involved with games, given how the PS3 skews so much more hardcore than I think the other two, this is I think the only way that you can kind of bring family in. But I don't think that necessarily the titles out there are so strong that you're going to have a lot of dynamic. I mean, really, it's sports.
Yeah, the
That
Sports
really is-
Champion is cool. Tumble is cool. From
Tumble
what I've
is
heard.
cool,
I
which is
haven't-
it is a smaller game, and you're not going to find that on shelves, so don't go looking for that on the shelf.
Right.
Anyone else got like us?
I've not really been impressed by a lot of what I've seen. I thought Tumble was cool when I saw it, but again, PSN, you can download it. It's cheaper than.
And
going out
I
and
have to
buying a
say,
game
to
you won't
Nicole's
like.
point, that I think there is reason to think there's very interesting stuff on the horizon with regard to Kinect. I'm a little more hesitant on Move. I'm not saying it's not coming, but I would kind of wait and see what it is.
They're not even
I mean,
teasing us yet, so
There's
I mean-
some stuff I want to see that came out on Wii. I want to see re-released for
That's-
PS3.
that's
like
true.
No More Heroes.
Badly.
No More Heroes is
No,
getting
House of the Dead
support.
Overkill is
House
what I
of the
want
Dead
to see.
Overkill.
Yeah.
I think there's
There
some
you go.
rail shooters that just with the high def graphics, well, you can see them.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, look, now I know where the zombie was coming from. Over there.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
when it's
there's
eating my
I mean,
face.
they have this entire back catalog of games from the past few years. I would love to see that happen. I know we've been saying that since we first heard about Move, but I'd like to see more of that.
Let's talk for a moment about PS3 proper. It's had some interesting games this year. I think it's going to have incredibly interesting games next year, if what it looks like is coming out is coming out. In terms of picks for this, the one that I would recommend, because I think fewer people have a copy, and it is about the most unique experience you're going to play this year, that's Heavy Rain.
Me too, dude. That is an awesome game.
Hey, you're not, you're not going to get anything else like it.
Yeah. That being said, it's definitely for hardcore gamers. It's not so.
Really?
It's not so. I didn't enjoy it, and I think that a lot of my sister and brother who watched me play, who are hardcore, didn't like it. I think it's something that you have to be really into to appreciate.
See, I know many people that don't want
That
games
type of
that this was delivering something that just wasn't kill the person over there. It wasn't skill based. In fact, it was like your lack of skill can actually help generate the
It was a
story.
lot of times patience based, which is something that I lack.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
true.
makes sense. Okay, I could totally see if you.
But if you have a patient person that has a PS3,
if you don't like cutscenes, it's the wrong game.
right? And the one thing I would say is tell your friends if you buy them Heavy Rain, they might get a better experience. Put on the French dialogue with the English subtitles, and you do get what really fixes one of the bigger problems with that game, which I think is the stilted and wooden. Would you say that?
Okay, the amazing thing, what still amazes me about that game is I didn't even realize until several months after it had come out that it takes place in Philadelphia. The place where I am from, I could not tell.
That is kind of weird because I'm from around there as well, and it seemed like.
Yeah.
I like the idea that it took place in some unnamed industrial city
and then
somewhere.
somebody's like, "No, that's Philadelphia."
You know what?
I'm like, really?
I think in France, unnamed industrial city is Philadelphia.
It translates to Philadelphia.
Totally fair.
You guys, Johnson, you
Yes.
have anything in mind?
For the PS3?
Yeah.
Well, I really dug Heavy Rain, just like we said, and I'm one of the people that liked MAG. I haven't played it a whole lot, but
that is definitely of the ones where I think that we can name pretty narrow in terms of. I mean, is that when you think I'll just jump into the MAG?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of one of those sort of things. Like, it's not the deepest experience ever, but it's a lot of fun.
Do you think it's accessible that someone can kind of blindly get it for someone?
It depends. I mean, it's a multiplayer only
and you better
shooter.
want to go online,
so, yeah,
because
exactly.
you're not going to have a very good time with this game.
I know it's
if you
weird
don't.
to recommend a PS3 game that requires you being online because it isn't known for having the greatest online. But when it's worked fine for me, and admittedly I haven't played it so deeply, but at the same time, it's an awesome little game, awesome little fighting war game. I liked it.
Nicole.
I enjoyed God of War 3. I thought it was a fun, incredibly violent, beautiful playthrough. I also think that the Sly Collection is going to be great for younger gamers.
Yes, and Adam and I are obsessed
me.
with. Yes.
Younger gamers and Adam.
No, not younger gamers. That game is for adults, and I love it so much.
Now, here's the
God
of War.
isn't, though.
No. That is...
Definitely for children. Yes.
Yes.
The younger, the better.
Yeah.
Yes, just give them a copy of Bullfinch's Mythologies and God of War 3. The one thing I would say about God of War 3, and I think a lot of people have presented this to me, I haven't played God of War 1 and 2. Should I get 3?
Me either.
You haven't?
No.
Okay, well, then
I
you're
wasn't
looking
allowed
through.
to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But
How long ago did God of War 1 come out?
A while? I don't know. I
was
had
a
to buy it
while.
myself, and it was like, I had to be 18 to buy it.
How old were you then?
I'm 23 now.
Johnson, we'll hug after this. Well, we'll try to hug, but when you right here,
I got
can't
bursitis
extend
a little
it
bit.
all the
I
way
can't.
straight. But no, it is a mature game. But you didn't feel that, oh, wow, I'm really missing out on everything,
No, I
having
didn't
not
feel
had
like-
1 and 2.
I didn't feel like I was missing out. I felt like I wanted to go back and play them, though.
Now, God of War, the God of War collection, which was the same thing
Yeah.
that they're doing to Sly right now, is that readily available? I don't know if it is.
I don't
So
know. I
would
got
say
it
that
when
would
it
be-
came
Order it
out.
online.
I'm
I
sure
mean, that would
you
be
can
the
find
perfect
it
thing.
somewhere.
You get all 3 for someone right
Absolutely.
there. Abby, what?
You know it's the Sly Collection? Because you have the same one.
That's
and
okay.
I want the Sly
Go.
Collection
Why,
so much.
why do you love Sly Cooper so
Because
much?
I love the Sly Cooper games. There is like the little animations. I mean, if you played Infamous, and it still has that feel of like Sly. It's a sort of open world, but it's got these really just adorable and just awesomely
There's a joy.
characterized.
There is a joy to that franchise
happy
that you
game.
don't find in many other.
No,
and
it's a happy
It's got
game.
the turtle.
Yeah.
Sly.
But it's
That's
a
really my
misleading
terrible
game,
memory.
which we discussed earlier about raccoons.
Yes, it is. It is. Do not make your understanding. Look, kids, hippos aren't pink. They're not.
Raccoons will bite you.
And they're really dangerous in the wild. Actually, more people die by wild animals in Africa to hippos than to any other animal. Did you
They
know
are
that?
dangerous.
They're very dangerous, and they're not pink, so they're not easy to find when you're out on the Nile. I'm
How
just
many
saying,
times have you been out on the Nile?
I don't go
spotting
because of the
hippopotami?
hippos. If they all were like Mark. Oh wow, what was his name? What's the hippo's name?
Oh, from Sly?
Yeah.
No, I forget.
See? I was trying to think of it, now I forgot.
Is he
it.
hungry?
Yes, he is,
Yes,
actually.
he is
He
always
really is a
hungry.
hungry hippo. I never understood that game as a kid, but that's just me. All right, let's go over the 360. I think we're going to actually be hitting on some stuff that's available for both the PS3 or 360. We'll try to point those out as they come along, because there's only been a couple of exclusives, Halo and Fable, to my mind, for the Xbox 360 this year. Steven, what floats your 360 boat?
Since we're talking about holidays, you got to put Madden on there. Madden is a holiday tradition in households that goes back to like Madden Football 1978, which didn't actually exist, and I made it up. So you got to have football under the tree for Christmas. It's 360. Yes, I understand that it's also PS3, Nintendo DS, and every other system out there. But at the same time, 360 is your best bet just because the online is solid.
I think the one thing to be mindful of, that the recipient enjoys the game of football.
Of course.
Yes, because that would be probably an identity crisis. Like, what have you been thinking about me, Dad? What are you trying to tell me? Oh, dear. Nicole, anything stand out for you?
Well, I mean, I hate to sound so Xbox 360 fangirlish, but Call of Duty Black Ops I think is a good buy for the 360. I think that Mass Effect 2, if you're into RPGs at all, it's the perfect RPG shooter.
So, like, and Black Ops you can get for the PS3, but Mass Effect 2,
and
as of
PC.
now, is only available for the Xbox 360.
And PC.
Oh, and PC, you're absolutely right.
Yes,
You're
and
absolutely
I think Assassin's Creed Brotherhood,
Poor
multi-platform.
PC gamers.
Yeah.
Fallout New Vegas is multi-platform. Halo Reach.
Yeah, I mean, Halo Reach is obviously very, very unique. People who have 360s tend to lean a little bit towards the Halo. I think the one thing is that, for those out there that don't know, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Fallout New Vegas, both gargantuan games. It's almost like OD on open world if you get both of them for one person. But they're both very, very strong games. Let's just point it out, both very, very mature.
Mass Effect 2 is a very long game as well.
Yes,
Tons of DLC.
I love it so. I love
Me
it
too.
so. Abby, what stands out for you?
Also, the hippopotamus's name was Murray.
Murray.
good call.
Because all pink hippos should be called Murray.
If I didn't have every game that I already wanted this year, I would be very, very excited to get Alan Wake. I would be very excited to get Assassin's Creed. I would be very excited to get Red Dead. And I don't think I could ever assume that I wouldn't already own Call of Duty. So
I think the one that I think Red Dead Redemption is an incredible game, and I think it's funny, just from talking to people who are not hardcore gamers who come to me for advice and stuff. A lot of people didn't play Red Dead. It came out at for them, they weren't ready to get a new game. The fact that it was a Western, they kind of went, they are now aware of its super popularity. And I think if you find out there's someone out there that doesn't have Red Dead this year, I think that's about one of the most generally pleasing games.
I mean, for people like me that love horror stuff and have been feeling just a little tiny bit slighted by the past few years of game releases, I mean, there's always one or two, but there's really only ever one or two. And I was excited to play Alan Wake this year because I love horror games and I love survivally horror things and scary things, and I just wish there was more of it. And I feel like you get one a year maybe, and that's it, and it makes me sad. You get Dead Space, you get Alan Wake, I get nothing.
The other one I want to throw out there is that if you're giving the gift of Microsoft points, which does sound strange, Limbo. That it is only available in 360. It is one of the more remarkable games of the year. It was not the most expensive thing out there. Really, it's perfect for the holiday time.
Yeah,
in tone and theme. Black and white, child in danger, getting his limbs torn apart when you fail.
Just like Costume Quest.
Yes.
The being holiday appropriate. No.
Wrong holiday. Wrong holiday.
It's a holiday appropriate.
A holiday.
Still awesome.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, I think the 360, there's a very strong panoply of games out there, as there is for the PS3. So that's the Holiday Buyer's Guide. We have so much more information that is can be found on the website that anyone here who is kind of flummoxed, deflummox yourself by going to our fine website. With that, I want to go to the question of the week, which is from TD the Monster, and that's the with THA because E's are hard to come by these days.
That's how the kids do it.
He asked a very interesting question. Is there any specific developer out there whose release model for releasing games that you see as admirable? I love this question because it doesn't sound like all the other questions we get.
Yay.
So thank you, TD
Adam, what do you
the
really
Monster.
think about 3D?
I think it's out there. I think it's out there.
In multiple
I know
dimensions.
one easy answer to this. Naughty Dog. Remember when we had them on last year and they were telling
yes.
us a bit about their whole... They seem to have a nice structure in
Yes,
place.
and you know what? I think due to the successes of Uncharted 2, Richard Le Marchand, who is one of the most wonderful, nice people in the game industry, really has sort of, been sort of preaching their model and the way that they kind of like allow for their team to sort of share. And I think it allowed them to make one of the most ambitious games from a technical standpoint at the very least come out. I think it does. I was going to point out, also LA-based, maybe there's a bias, Insomniac. They put out games of a very clear quality on a yearly basis. This is the first year we haven't had that. I think they deserve to have it off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. I mean, they crank them out, and it's really like sometimes awe-inspiring. I think sometimes that gets forgotten.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, Nicole?
Well, I like Epic. I really think that they have a good community involvement, and they're always keeping the people, their fans playing. And you have the XP weekends. We have 10 XP for Gears of War 2 this weekend, and I think that a lot of the Epic, people in charge are always on Twitter, always interacting with their community, and I really like that involvement in community.
No, and they do. And I think the other thing about Epic is the way that they engage with Chair, and they're engaging with People Can Fly. That they're not a publisher themselves, but they seem to be bringing in outside talent to use their tech and help foster these really interesting games.
I like any developer who is working on a sort of a second-rate title that they know is not going to be all that great. So in order to generate interest, they send people in the video game industry on very expensive trips and give them expensive gifts.
And free T-shirts.
And free T-shirts.
That is good, Stephen. So to those out there that want to influence somebody, Stephen Johnson is your man.
No, I'm kidding. I like Blizzard because I like their whole... Look, we're just going to put the stuff out when it's done. We don't have big release schedules. We don't have any... we just put out the best games ever, and we do it when they're finished. And we rest solely on our reputation at Blizzard.
Well,
and they're awesome.
I see your point, but what you were saying before is interesting. Only that, I would suggest, Valve too. They get a game out and it's polished and it's great. But there are so many developers that don't have the luxury of
id, Valve, and
that's true.
Of
that's
Blizzard,
true.
of not having that time that the game has to be out, no matter how good it is, of having that constant pressure. I mean, and a lot of that doesn't. I'm sure if every developer had a choice, they would want to take all the time and get the game out when it's finished.
But then, those developers that can, the reason that they can is because their product has been so quality for such a long period of time that,
they've earned that right.
They've earned a reputation.
And a lot of
for
them
it.
also
I
don't
guess
have
for
publishers
me,
that breathe down
has
their...
to kind of
true.
deal with scheduling for content and everything. Blizzard is... I love them dearly. They give me heart attacks. But yeah, I mean, it is... I mean, I think everyone wants to aspire to that, but there are financial realities that, sometimes make that challenging. I would like to thank our panel, Stephen Johnson, Nicole Zavalich. Did I do it?
That was super close.
Oh, okay. You know what? One day, and I apologize because I'm people call me Sizzler, and it's still...
Well, that was a nickname that we gave to you.
I
because
like that.
I'm just kidding. It had nothing to do with the salad bar.
I thought it was Stupid Face was the name you gave me.
Maybe.
Anyway, Abby, Happy, thank you so much. You have some safe travels to all of you guys. Safe travels to all of our viewers. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Get fat, play some games. And maybe a good way to kind of, shed some of that is by sitting down and listening to feedback.
Wait.
That logic was not...
What?
Hello there. I'm Adam Sessler, host of X-Play, editor-in-chief at G4TV.com. I talk a lot about video games, and sometimes a camera is in front of me when I'm doing that. We call that Sessler's Soapbox. It takes about 2 minutes of your time, but trust me, you will hear invective and joy and probably a lot of rude things like you've never heard before in the context of video games. I do it for you, so you should check it out. It's up every Tuesday on G4TV.com.